Good evening and welcome to the December 1st, 2025 meeting of the Shawnee Planning Commission. I'm Commissioner Beanhoff and I'll be chairing this meeting. And we are beginning at 7:25 after recovering from some technical difficulties. So we'll see how this goes. The roll call at this time, Commissioner Peterson.
Here.
Commissioner Fox.
Here.
Commissioner Nunnick.
Here.
Commissioner Lucky is absent. Commissioner Aber.
Here.
Mr. Hollick.
Commissioner Hollick.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Commissioner Hollick is present online. Commissioner Good
Here.
is online. Commissioner Hanson.
Here.
Commissioner Sitzman
Here.
is online. Thank you. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. That would take us to consideration of the consent items. Consent items are listed under the consent items agenda. Unless there's a request to remove an item from the consent agenda, the item will be approved in one motion. Is there a request to remove the item from the consent agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Commissioner Hanson.
I motion to approve the consent agenda.
Do we have a second? Commissioner Aber.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. That would take us into new business. New business is RZ 25-05 and PP 25-03. Elysium Field subdivision located in the 5900 block of Alden Street, rezoning and preliminary plat.
Thank you, Chairman. This application is for a rezoning and preliminary plat for Elysium Field single-family subdivision. Here's a site map. You can see the property is located at the southwest corner of Johnson Drive and Alden Street. Property is an unplatted parcel, 6.7 acres, currently zoned ag. This proposal is to develop a single-family subdivision in accordance with R1 zoning district. The development includes 6 single-family lots, 1 tract, a private street, as well as other infrastructure to support the subdivision. As far as project timeline, this project was submitted to the city on November 3rd. Public hearing notices were mailed on the 4th. The public hearing notice was sent to 20 surrounding property owners. The public hearing notice was published on November 11th, and the Planning Commission consideration with public hearing is today on December 1st. Council is tentatively scheduled for January 12th, 2026. As mentioned, the future land use plan shows this property as appropriate for traditional residential neighborhood. There on the left, you can see. This property, as mentioned earlier, is zoned agricultural, surrounded by R1 subdivision to the north, R1's elementaries or public school to the east, and then RS residential suburban to the south and to the west. It shows the current zoning is ag. The requested zoning is to R1 single family residential. And here are the 8 rezoning factors. I won't read through all of these, but we can flip back if we need to reference. Along with the rezoning request to R1, this application does have a preliminary plat included. This is the preliminary plat here showing the 6 new lots. There's 3 on the north, 3 of which will be accessed from Johnson Drive to the north. You can see that cul-de-sac there in between lots 1 and 2 in the northwest corner. That cul-de-sac is required to be platted. That will be a private street. It will be built to public street standards, and that is to access those 3 lots there on the west. The 3rd lot over to the east will be accessed off Johnson Drive by a separate driveway, and then the 2 lots to the east will be accessed off of Alden Street. Imagine Shawnee. This meets the attract diverse housing to meet the needs of a growing city pillar that was established during Imagine Shawnee. And with that, staff would recommend approval of project RZ 25-5 from agricultural to R1 single family in the 5900 block of Alden Street, subject to the following conditions. Approval of rezoning request, an ordinance be published. And the preliminary plat. Staff also recommends approval of preliminary plat PP 25-3 with the following stipulations or conditions. And I can go through those, or if you have any questions on these, but these are primarily just your standard conditions. And with that, I can answer any questions.
Thank you. Colin, is the applicant present? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Do we have a mic for the podium?
Is it on? Okay. My name's Augie Bogina. My address is 6814 Blue Jacket, Shawnee, Kansas, 66203. Thanks for coming out tonight for this rezoning and preliminary plat. This is a division of property for 6 large lots, the smallest being approximately 33,000 square feet, the largest being 2 acres. The staff report was fairly inclusive as to the proposal that's before you. I would expect that the homes to be built in the future would be in the same range as those that are both to the south and to the north. More than likely 3,000 plus square feet of living space. And we've worked out the detention requirements per the city with a detention pond and dedicating the stream to the city. And I can answer any questions, but thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Bogina. Are you in agreement with the staff's recommendation and conditions of approval?
So I am in agreement with the staff's recommendations.
Thank you. Does the commission have any questions for the applicant or the staff? Commissioner Peterson.
Pardon. The track 1 on the back of lot 6, that is going to remain a detainage, and how, I'm just curious how that house is going to sit there and still maintain the breadth of what it needs for the setbacks. Staff?
So I think there's plenty of room there to site the house on the north end side of that dry detention area. You're talking about this lot here, right?
Yeah, lot 6, yeah.
I think they'll have enough. In addition, I think with the R1 setbacks, I don't know if you've put a footprint on there yet, but I think you have plenty of setback from this public street frontage here at the bulb of the cul-de-sac down to the dry detention area. I think you'll be able to situate a house in there.
So in R1, the setback from that cul-de-sac would be only 30 feet. It's typical in an R1 zone. And the vast majority of the south end of that site has to be preserved anyway because it's in a stream corridor and it's part of their best management practice area that'll be preserved. So the house naturally would go up on the north or on the northeast portion of that lot. And it is one of the lots, if I recall, that is 2 acres in size. So it is a large lot.
Commissioner Peterson.
Well, on the R1, I thought the rear setback was 30 feet, I thought I read. And so I was just curious, do they have all the way to that?
It is 30 feet, and you're correct, it is 30 feet, but it would be from their rear property line, not from that tract delineation. The tract is simply in common ownership because it is something that has to be maintained by the subdivision. If you've seen these on plats before, they're usually not shaped like this. It'll usually be like a corner or something like that. But because of that natural area that's being preserved in the tract, it's a little bit different of a design than what you'd normally see. But the setback itself would be from that rear south property line. So my guess would be they will be several hundred feet from the rear property line just because of the preservation of that area.
That was what my question was.
I would expect that the home to be at the building line along the cul-de-sac ball and be approximately 40 feet in depth. And so you're correct, it would be approximately 200 feet in lieu of the 30-foot minimum.
Yeah, I was just curious if 30 feet was from the property line or from the tract.
No, it would be from the property line. That tract is kind of independent of itself because it's not a lot, it's a tract
Right.
by definition.
And it's protected by the setbacks for the streamway. Thank you.
Mr. Hanson.
This is really just a question because I don't, this is the first time I've seen where you have something that's built into somebody's land ownership, but it's not an easement. So what would keep somebody from changing this after they bought the lot? It's just a general question. I mean, is there rules around that? Because it's technically owned by them.
So that tract will be in common ownership by the Homes Association, and it will be maintained by the Homes Association. This is a preliminary plat. They will have to come back for a final plat, and generally they will provide documents, easements, covenants, and those sort of things that would be reviewed by the city at the time of final plat. But to alter this would require a revised preliminary plat unless it was, significantly similar to what the preliminary plat is. And so there's always that control.
Okay.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, it'd be no different than if that tract were along the back side of the property and the home was there and the homeowner would try to build on that tract that was really common ownership.
Correct. We wouldn't issue a permit for it. They have to stay. And that's another reason why we now place these in tracts rather than easements, so that there is more control over that area that needs to be preserved.
And isn't it true, Doug, that in the jurats, it describes these tracts and defines exactly how they're used?
That's exactly right. When you see the final plat.
Legal portion of the plat in the dedications.
My guess is this is defined. I see it up there as tract A. There will be a description on the final plat that says tract A is for XYZ. It'll be probably a stormwater management easement as well as common space and BMPs. So that's a way of further controlling it, is recording it as a tract.
Any other questions for the applicant or staff? Did have a question for the staff. This is a private street built to city standards. As it being a private street, then the property ownership would be required to maintain that, to plow the snow and maintain the street surface.
That is correct. They'll be responsible for all of those maintenance activities.
Thank you. Any other questions for the applicant or staff? Any questions from the attendees online? Very good. Thank you, Mr. Regina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That we would move into public hearing. Is there anyone from the public who would wish to speak on this item? Yes, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. And if there's a notepad over there, please print your name and address legibly.
My name is Craig Seibert. I live at 5980 Alden, the first house south of the property. Two things. On your preliminary plat, you're showing 7.4 acres. A couple slides ago, it was 6.7.
I can answer that. So the rezoning is looking at just the parcel, and the preliminary plat is including the right of way to the north and to the east. That's where you picked up that extra half or so acre, is this right of way is included on the north and on the roadways. So when we looked at the rezoning, we're only looking at the parcel. That's why there's a little discrepancy there.
Sunset Estates, we live in subdivision to the south. It's 15 houses. All the houses are either brick or stucco all the way around. On the north side, Johnson Drive, Granite Falls is brick or stucco front. A lot of them have the T11 plywood. Which, if I may ask, which direction are we looking at going? Which I know
yes.
that's kind of out of the
For
zoning,
the
but
purposes of this, right now, we're looking at the rezoning and the preliminary plat, which is the lot layout. We could, after we can take note of that question and perhaps ask the developer or the applicant to address that as a follow-up. But we're not here to look at design of the homes and we have not seen that. And if it's not coming in as a PUD, then we would not see that or govern that here.
okay, thank you, that's it.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming out tonight. Is there anyone else from the public who would wish to speak on this item? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record. And if you'd print your name and address legibly on the notepad, would appreciate it.
My name is Terry Martinkus. I'm in Sunset Estates. I am the lot 2, just to the south of that pond. Is there any requirements for this new set of tracks to have a division between their subdivision and ours?
That would be
Like a green line
plat.
or something?
I would ask the staff to respond to the setback and the buffer.
So in the R1 zone, there would be a 30-foot no build zone, but as I said, that's the majority of that, if not all of it's going to be preserved. In terms of a planting or anything alike along that property line, there wouldn't be a requirement in R1 or RS, to be honest with you, because those are not planned districts. I will tell you too that whenever a building permit is pulled on any of these lots, whether they're internal or adjacent to another subdivision, the city does have lot-to-lot grading requirements. So we will require state plan survey. We'll make sure that the contours are blending in. But in this case, this is such a unique property that southern part of the lot that's going to be adjacent to their homes is going to be undisturbed unless I'm missing something, because it is, as I said, it's wooded now, and they're getting credit for that for their best management practices requirements.
Yeah, what I'm fearful of is fencing. Like a wood fence or something, and I really would not want that. I know that'll be in the next phase. That's why I'm asking.
So I won't sit here and say that they could not fence their yard. Our fence requirements for R1, RS, any non-planned district is that you can do up to a 6-foot board privacy fence around that property. If they have a dog or something like that, there's no city requirement that we would enforce to say they couldn't have a fence around their yard.
Thank you. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
We're not,
I know,
For
I
this,
was just
yeah.
wondering if there were requirements for the plot between the 2 subdivisions. That was my.
there's no requirement for a fence and there's no prevention of a fence. Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and we'll move into commission discussion. Does the commission have any discussion on this item? Oh, thank you. Yes, as far as did not write that down. What was the question, Commissioner Aber?
I think there was a question about the materials for the homes.
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you.
And again, Sunset Estates, Granite Falls, I believe it's R1. Sunset Estates is RS. Those aren't PSF. They aren't planned districts. So there were no design standards for those from a city standpoint. There may be covenants or restrictions that are private within those subdivisions that control architecture. But in a standard traditional lot, there isn't like a 50% masonry requirement in these zones. And there's not really any architectural control that is from a code standpoint. In planned single family, you guys are used to seeing 5 separate elevations, and they can't repeat those on certain streets, and there's a mixture of different frontages. This is a very traditional standard zoning request. It's basically the same as it is to the south or to the north. And so you wouldn't see building elevations with the final plat.
Thank you, Doug. So that does take me back to my note where the Sunset Estates, the gentleman mentioned there's a brick or stucco on the homes, and there's no requirement to have that here. It's an independent subdivision with no building material requirements. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
We're comparing different subdivisions that are.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Any other discussion from the commission? Commissioner Peterson.
I have one more question. I understand this is a preliminary plat and a rezoning. On the preliminary plat, we show the one private street that's adjacent from, is it Darnell? And then that would access 3 of the lots. There are 3 other lots available, and I understand those have yet to be configured and those things, but I would really like to bring it to the attention across the street from a corner lot that we're not talking about is an elementary school. There is a stoplight there. I do not know if you are actually going to put another driveway there on Johnson Drive. You will then have a street on that side. I understand they meet from the other side, but there's also a hill there. That would be another driveway against a driveway right before a stoplight, and then 2 more driveways right just kind of past the playground-ish. That's a lot of activity on 2 fairly busy streets, especially between the hours of 7:30 and 9 and 2:30 and 4. So I do not, because they're not drawn, because they're not streets. That seems to be a question that should be addressed before we get to a final plat.
Well, we would look at site distance and try to come up with the best location for those driveways. But essentially in this subdivision, you'll have 3 driveways coming off of the private street. You'll have either, I think there's an existing driveway on the lot that fronts Johnson.
Yes.
So just
and it goes to that garage, right?
One more existing drive that we would not have an issue with. And then just 2 more driveways coming off of Alden. And we would try to match those as best we could. At least the site distance on those would be it wouldn't be within the functional area of the intersection for that light. And generally, there are other driveways that have access directly to Alden now. This would be similar to that situation.
But I do know that the subdivision to the south of that has 1 entrance for the 15 homes, and we are going to add 1, 2 to Johnson Drive and 2 more to Alden, all in a cluster of a school and a stoplight on 2 fairly busy streets. So I'd like to be cognizant when we do the final plat that I've driven that, and I've seen people backed up on Johnson Drive when the light and blocking that driveway, not to mention probably the next driveway. And
so I would just say traffic did look at the generation of this, and you're talking a very small amount of lots because of the size, and each single family lot daily trips generated are like 10.
I'm not
lot.
concerned about trips generated. I'm concerned about impeding the stoplight and the school. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Peterson. I guess I would just point out that these are further away from the stoplight than the existing driveway, so
Sure.
I would hope it would have a minimal impact. Any other discussion from the commission? Any discussion from the commissioners that are online?
Yeah, I raised my hand. I don't know if anyone saw that. This is Kevin Fox.
Go ahead, Commissioner Fox. Sorry.
Just in general, in looking at this plan, I think it's a nice plan. It fits the area. And I think it's a good use of the land. I like that we're not putting 15 houses in there. We're putting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm in favor of this, and I think the plat looks good. I like what they did. I like the cul-de-sac they drew in to reduce the amount of driveways they have to build. So I think it looks really good, and I think the plan looks nice.
Thank you, Commissioner Fox. Any other discussion from the commissioners attending online? Okay, seeing none. Any other discussion here? With that, would anyone care to make a motion on this item? Commissioner Nunick.
Doing them separately, I assume.
Yes, we'll do separate motions and votes, one for the rezoning and one for the preliminary plat.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve the rezoning staff recommendations approval of project RZ 25-05 rezoning from ag to R1 single family residential in the 5900 block of Alden Street, subject to the following condition listed in the report.
Thank you. Is there a second on this item?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Peterson. Any discussion on the rezoning? Thank you. All in favor? We do have a motion and a second for rezoning of RZ 25-05, rezoning from ag to R1, single family residential, and the 5900 block of Alden Street, subject to the condition requires approval by the governing body. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Take us to the preliminary plat. Anyone care to make a motion on the preliminary plat? Commissioner Hanson.
I motion to approve the preliminary plat for project PP 25-03 Elysium Fields subdivision located in the 5900 block of Alden Street, subject to the conditions in the report.
Thank you. Anyone care to second this motion? Commissioner Aber.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of project PP 25-03 preliminary plat approval for Elysium Fields subdivision located in the 5900 block of Alden Street, subject to the conditions listed in the staff report. Any other discussion on this item? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Arguin. That would take us to the next order of business, which is miscellaneous items. Does the commission have any items for the staff this evening? Seeing none, does the staff have any items for the commission?
Just a couple of real quick things, because I know we got started late. They're starting to arrange tours for the landfill again, if anybody is interested. I know several of you have already been out there, but some of the newer people have not, maybe. So I'm going to send out an email to gauge interest in doing that. The waste management people have volunteered to do the tour. I think they're doing some governing body tours tomorrow and later this week. I didn't have time to ask you guys. They did this very quickly. So I've talked to the waste management folks, and if people are interested, they'll schedule probably something after the first of the year. The other thing I wanted to bring up is that we've had a city engineering, for the city engineer, an open position for some time. And that position has been filled. And the reason I bring it up is because the city engineer is obviously heavily involved in the capital improvement projects and some of the stuff that you guys see and deal with. And this person actually worked for Shawnee for many years. And so Mark Sherfy, who was our traffic engineer for many, many years, I worked with him probably for 15 years, is going to come back to the city in the capacity as city engineer. And so we're looking for him to start probably before the end of December, before the end of December. So that was really the two things I wanted to give you an update on.
Great. Thank you, Doug. Any other items for the commission? Okay, Commissioner Nunnick.
Just real quick on the landfill tour, it sounds something like, God, why would I want to do that? I did that, and I would recommend anybody, if you've not done it, to do it. And January is a great time to go because the smell will not be as bad. So I know we all laugh, but it is fascinating.
No, it's a great tour.
It's very educational as well. Okay, do we have a motion for adjournment if there are no other items? Commissioner Aber,
Move we adjourn.
do we have a second? Commissioner Nunnick,
I second the motion.
we have a motion and a second for adjournment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned at 7:55 p.m.
Thanks, everyone. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Colin and Doug, for persevering on the equipment.